Hi, and welcome everybody once again to What's the Damage, companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular real play D&D show Roll for Damage. Get your t-shirts today. That's not a joke. We really have t-shirts. They're really on sale. They're really in our store. I just ordered mine today. Please buy them. They're pretty good actually. They're come in lots of cool colors. Yeah, so we had a big, meaty, substantial game last Friday as our heroes got a bit better acquainted with some members of Lux Eterna who had curb stomped them pretty brutally the previous game, but turned out to be pretty nice overall once you got to know them a little. The party had some interesting conversations with them, and then Lex finally called in one of her favors. We'll see how that works out. And then the party traveled further into the forest and the mist, where they found and fought some alarm to discover that there may have been some kind of demon rift that got opened. That's bad. And then they fought some more strange creatures. Then where everybody managed not to die, and Quinn was pretty clutch at a pretty clutch moment. We'll be delving into the sort of details of all of that right now. As always, stick around after the stream for links and resources. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is, as always, What's the Damage? We are back. Joining me today is Tick, who is here. Thank you, Tick, for being back on camera during the intro. Um, Tick, who
Sorry.
plays Sinric, the ever wonderful barbarian, and Chad, who plays the what's your class? Quinn the Quinn, cleric.
I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not
cleric.
telling you.
I swear I know that. I just haven't slept for like 4 days. Hi guys, what's the damage? You had a really long session and did lots of stuff.
So
Fought some
many
Jello
things.
monsters. Yeah,
The worst kind of
What?
pudding.
All the Jello.
all the
Yeah,
Jello,
it was
so
terrible.
jiggly and full of acid.
I was not a fan. I wanted to send that pudding back to the kitchen and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't order this."
This is the bad stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. No.
I equate it to like bread pudding. Yeah.
I mean,
You like bread pudding? I like bread.
bread pudding can be good. I
Mhm.
equate it more to like hospital/nursing home dessert pudding
Yeah,
or salad bar pudding.
yeah. Somehow that pudding is always worse than the stuff that you like buy in the grocery store. Like if you get a
Yeah.
pudding cup in the grocery store, you'd think it would be the exact same flavor as the pudding cup you get at the hospital, but it's not.
Yeah.
Somehow they find like inferior pudding and they order that specifically.
Yeah.
It's
It's like, what do we add to make this taste like bad?
It's like they're putting medicine in it.
just add a sprinkle of bad, just so you get that real hospital experience.
They just sprinkle in ground up hospital mattress. Like they'll really get the flavor.
Yeah, a tiny bit of bleach, just to keep the COVID away. Anyway, I
Uh,
can't catch it if you're dead, guys. Anyway, um, despite getting your asses handed to you by Liz and Charlie, they turned out to be kind of, not bad guys, sort of friendly. What do you guys think about them?
I mean, after they beat the holy ever loving shit
Mhm.
out of us, they seem to be pretty okay. But yeah, I mean,
In their defense, some of our party did strike first.
Yeah, certain party members become
yeah,
very gung ho.
yeah, but at the same time, it was not them standing there stabbing people was not the best look. It was bad optics.
I mean,
There
they
were
didn't stab; they
misunderstandings
whipped.
all around. I think it was more
I mean, it
slashing,
worked out
really.
fine in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of the bad optics, that was not a pretty scene that you found when you came to the Ocean encampment. It was actually quite grim. You made the situation seem grimmer. This has been a grim little arc for the campaign. So, like, how are Quinn and Sinrig like feeling about the humanity of it all? Like, things have gone rather real.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn is having a bit of PTSD over the whole thing right now because of,
Hmm.
him literally coming home to a vacant village and finding out that it's because everybody he's ever known is basically dead. So it's way too similar. And and yeah, he is not enjoying that part of it.
Makes sense.
I mean,
Echoes.
on the other hand, you did find out they were corrupted. So, I mean,
It's
well, we did
still,
as a group.
yeah, but still though, that doesn't really make it any better, especially considering the fact that apparently everybody being like spiritually tortured, and to what end I don't know. But if it's,
For funsies, you
yeah, it could
know.
be for funsies, it could be for some sort of
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
end game plan thingy. And
All the
yeah,
souls to power up a secret weapon.
or
Mhm.
something like that, who knows. But yeah, that's
Well,
pretty much how he's feeling about it.
I mean, apparently my family is doing fine. So,
Yeah, we gonna get to
Some
that tea
mercies.
spilling because that's what I'm here for right now. I mean, forget talking about me. I don't give a shit about me. Let's dig into this shit.
Shall we?
I mean, right now I'd probably say Cindric is not focused on, like what's happening at the village because of how that, everything was worded with, what's her name at the fire. That's probably got more.
He's so unfocused. He's like, "What's her name at the place with the things?"
The conversation at the place about the stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Liz seems to
Because I mean,
know a bit about you.
yeah,
More than
yeah.
the
I
rest of
mean, but
us.
that's well, no one's asked. No one said anything.
You're not a talkative type.
That's
I mean,
yeah, I know.
a lot of times Cindric's like just a big old rock as far as conversations go. He's like, hmm,
I mean, no one really talks to him in his
it's
defense.
true.
Only Doppy and I talk to
Yeah, I
him.
mean, but even then, conversation was kind of like, okay, let's get the job done, and that's it.
Yeah, true
Yeah.
enough.
It's not evocative. Some people just you need to tease their backstories out of them. They don't come in gung ho or like, hey, there's everything about me. My whole village is dead.
That's fair.
uh, okay,
I
anyway,
mean,
so
as far as backstory though, it's like not like big and dramatic. I don't think it's just not been talked about yet.
mhm.
Yeah.
It was implied though there might be some stuff going on at home. So how long has it been since Sinbric's been home?
I think on the timeline is close to 20 years.
So it has been quite a
It,
while.
it might be. Let's see, it'd be 49. Well, because there would have been two like away from home periods.
Mhm.
Um, Granted, it wasn't really like the way I pictured it when writing the backstory wasn't like very long, yeah.
So how did Cindric like interpret what Liz was saying to him? Because she essentially said, "You should go home," heavily implying that there was something there that needed your attention or that you should know about.
That's not what I heard. Well, that's not what I
Well, however you
focused on
interpreted
in the
it, yeah.
wording.
What'd you
It was the
focus
whole
on?
term about the things grow, and it's like, oh crap. Okay, yeah, I probably should go home at some point.
So what did that trigger, like in Cindric's memory? Things grow.
Well, possibility, maybe a child or something like that. You never know.
Oh, interesting.
There's a Cindric Jr. running around there.
There might be a couple. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, probably not a couple.
There are
I know when I
5.
left, there was definitely none the first time.
I mean, there are such thing as multiple babies at one time.
Oh, good
Tuplets.
lord, you're gonna jinx me there.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
There you
The
go.
DM, and I
got
know
like
the DM is
2
listening.
hanging off one arm, one on
Octuplets
each
for
leg,
Cindric.
just kind of hobbling around.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Cindric already is. Why not actually have the rest of the credentials to go with it?
Right?
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that.
Time
He's
to
like,
retire, settle down with a bundle of kids.
Yeah, bundle of kids. That's the correct term for multiples. Yeah,
Right?
but I mean, he's like 7 feet tall. You could fit like 8, 9 kids on that thing. Just like give him a bunch of baby
exactly.
Bjorns.
Some shoulder riders, some backpacks.
Yeah.
It'd be no different.
Some that are just like bracers where you just slide the kid on your forearm.
Mm-hmm. Like little child bracers.
Catapult.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing. Just
that might get
like
messy.
heavy armor, but it's made of children.
That would be terrible.
It's terrifying.
Oh, dude, my 4th son. Oh, that's some like
that'd be horrible.
wild supervillain shit.
Yeah.
Amazing. Most of the AC
I feel like that'd be
comes.
a warlock feat.
Warlocks can't wear heavy armor usually. I don't think.
They can't.
Yeah,
I mean, if
they could,
they can wield shields.
Yeah, true.
But not human
they
ones.
have shielded babies.
I'm just thinking this. I think most of the AC would come from people's reluctance to like stab a child. It doesn't actually give you much extra AC. That's all of it.
Would it give me full cover?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good times. We've invented another cursed item on this stream. I feel like this has happened at least twice. Lordy. Yeah, so interesting that you interpreted it as that, because I was as a watcher, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of ominous. But if it's a kid, honestly, that's not bad news.
As far as his personality, that would definitely be something unexpected, and yeah.
Yeah. So Cindric generally seems like a guy who lives in the present moment. Does he spend a lot of time like reflecting on where he came from, or is he mostly just like, this is in front of me right now?
I've kind of pushed all that stuff down and just don't really think about it, move on day to day. Because I mean, sometimes when you restart with nothing, you just kind of have to work on going forward and not back.
Inspirational. We all learn something from Cindric.
I feel like you need a motivational poster for that. It's like a picture of a mountain range, and then you just put that underneath it. You could sell those.
Exactly. Yeah. I always like the demoralizing posters. I always found those funny.
Oh, those were funny. Do they still make those? I remember they were a big thing like a decade ago.
Probably do.
I mean, who doesn't want to post it? It says, "You're human garbage," and then has a picture of a cat on there.
I mean, it was most, yeah. We're getting off topic again. Anyway.
That is what this show is, getting off topic.
It really is. I try my best, you guys. I'm sorry. This is my apology video. I'm going to have like one of those ones on YouTube.
That's just what
just kidding.
Is.
Just kidding. We don't have a big enough following for me to get canceled yet. It's coming. So Quinn, Quinn and Perry have been having an emotional journey of sorts over the last few episodes, and I feel like in this episode Quinn at least had sort of a moment where he was trying to to reach out, not exactly commiserate with Perry, as she was kind of having like this really intense grief over what happened at the Ocean Village. He was kind of doing like the Vulcan I agree with thee thing, like I also feel pain, we're in pain together,
A little
we're
bit.
partners in pain.
Yeah. Well, a little bit, because the thing is, he understands part of what she's going through, not all of it or enough of it to really truly, commiserate on the same emotional level, but enough. It's essentially where, if you go to someone's funeral and it's like someone is burying like a young child, you literally have no idea what to say to them, because it's like that sort of trauma is completely foreign to you. There's no way you can process exactly that kind of grief, because you've not been through that kind of grief. You just sort of muddle through and try to offer what you can. Sort of, I'm sorry. And if you're in the if you're in the South, it's I'm sorry, here's a casserole. That's how it works. But he knows, and just enough of a similar kind of suffering to try to at least give some sort of solace. That's about all he could do when he was trying to reach out. So it did actually come up with the like, I too have felt pain, I grieve with thee sort of thing. You're right.
Yeah, it was like a very stoically sweet thing to do. I'm not sure how much Perry appreciated it, but someday she will. So do you think like this kind of like new injection of tragedy has kind of snapped Quinn out of his anger spiral, or are we just on pause for that right now for that?
Probably pause, honestly. It depends on what else goes on, because all of that is still there. It just isn't getting as much mental real estate at the moment. There's enough else going on that it has to just sort of be pushed to the side, like, not now, emotional problems, I have a pudding to hit.
Deal with you later.
Yeah.
Gonna get much bigger when I'm not looking at you.
It's, I made Quinn as like the whitest of white people. He is going to bury his problems, never talk about them until they explode in some other way.
Hey, white people. We know how to deal with feelings.
Yep. That's how we do.
Anyway, yeah, we take our feelings by colonizing people. That's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, so still on Quinn. He's been getting some kind of bad news about his quest kind of over and over again from a bunch of NPCs who are telling him either that it's a fool's errand or it's not going to work out the way he wants it to. Or essentially like this is not as straightforward as you think it's going to be. Quinn, how's he feeling about that?
Not great. Pretty unfavorably about it, actually, because it's like the one thing that he's trying to accomplish. It's literally the only goal that he has for his entire life right now, is to find a way to fix things and put everybody back where they came from, and save the people that he couldn't because he wasn't there to try, and all that. And he keeps getting told, like, no, that's not a thing you can do. Like, they're basically dead forever. All you can do is keep them from being tortured forever, maybe, but even then, probably not. Good luck, stupid. And that's about what he keeps hearing, or at least that's what he's internalizing from all of it. So he's still holding out to try to get answers. And if he does not get answers that'll put him onto some sort of better path, I do not know what he is going to do. So this will be interesting to find out.
We'll see. Fun times. So Liz has just called in the party's first debt. It sounds simple.
It does.
Is it though?
I mean, here's the thing. What sounds like go pick up a simple package it's also been the plot to several movies in which it ended badly for the main character. Like, if you think about it, you want to break things down to their simplest elements. Gremlins is about buying a kid the wrong Christmas present, and all ends in tears and blood.
The good news is we're not buying anything.
No, we're not. We're just supposed to go and acquire something. But Yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm hoping it is as simple as, well, here we go to this shop. Hi, I'm here to pick up this package for this person. And it doesn't end up, hi, I'm here to pick up this package for blam, blam in the face. I
Just
see
don't
you've
shatter
met.
inside, and we're okay.
Or maybe you have to shatter inside. Maybe that's the solution to this puzzle.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
I
knows?
I could do that, and don't think I won't do it again at some point if I feel like it's required. I have been
Okay.
much more conscious of building codes ever since the first time I accidentally
Since
blew
you
up a
got
wall. Thank
arrested.
you, you
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
End up in jail one night. God. Fun times.
Puts things in perspective.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes.
maybe if you all get eaten by the next round of jellies, you won't have to worry about that. So
Yeah, I mean,
positive thinking, guys.
that's true.
It's
If
true.
Quinn dies, none of this is a problem anymore. It's
Mhm.
some other idiot's problem.
Oh, but then his family's stuck in hell forever. That'd be
I
sad.
know.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
thought they were in
Okay.
Shadowfell, so not hell.
Close enough.
Hell-esque, a
It's a
hell-esque
it at
place.
that point it's like a semantics thing. So
I mean,
I mean, the actual nine are probably a bit less hellish than whatever's happened to them.
at least
they
there's
they have
structure.
some color. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Shadowfell is just like blah.
yeah, kind of,
Like
sort of.
I
blah,
imagine.
Shadowlands.
Oh well.
Is Shadowfell from a video game? What's that
No,
from?
it's from D&D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Being
in
told
D&D.
that's a
It's just
different
like,
plane.
yeah, it's like the alternate dimension where like Barovia and crap are.
Maybe you'll end up there too. Who knows? Anyway, so after a lovely evening at the campfire, you guys moved on to mistier and stranger places, full of very strange creatures. You had two battles this episode. The first
Hmm.
one was on a very neat battle map, which had some rolling fog effects. That was nice. I liked that,
Very.
which obscured your vision. So tell me a little bit about fighting this first fight.
I
It
mean,
sucks not being able to see.
I mean, you wanted to play a human, stupid. I mean, whose fault is that? Half
I
elf
mean,
dark
that's
vision for
fair.
the win, son. That's why I was able to
But does
see
dark
anything.
vision,
Hmm.
would dark vision really, let you see through fog and things that,
No, you need like
like
blind vision.
That's
I
true. It
think.
helped slightly because it was also not bright out. But I take every small advantage I can.
Mhm.
But it was interesting because we had no idea what was coming, but at least we, didn't just literally blunder right into everything blindly and paid enough attention to the people whistling like, "Hey, stupid, stop moving." And then we
Also
at least
was a
like
nice
clumped
touch.
up real good.
well, no one dropped a
Yeah.
fireball, so we're okay.
Luckily. Maybe next time. Yeah, it was quite fun watching you guys wander around blind quite a bit of our Halloween game. Get excited, guys! It's gonna run soon.
Yes.
Which also had some not seeing things. It has a theme. No spoilers. Y'all find out. Y'all find out what I'm talking about in a couple of weeks. I don't know when it's running. When's it running?
Halloween-ish.
Halloween-ish.
Yeah.
It's
Halloween for the actual
Oh,
thing.
is it running
Halloween.
on Halloween?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Actual Halloween for the thing itself.
Okay, yeah, hell
Halloween-ish
yeah.
for
Everyone
anybody
will
that doesn't
find
actually
out
watch live.
on the 31st
Yeah.
or slightly after the 31st.
Yes.
It'll be really great. It was a really fun game. I played in it. Everyone else played in it except for Jake and Jay, who unfortunately could not play in it, but it was super fun. Do-do-do. Okay, so yeah, first battle. Then you guys didn't have very much time to rest before you had to march on into the next encounter because as you sort of found out during the first battle, something was happening with like the thing and the chain, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
rift, and I was a little bit confused about all of it, but it sounded very bad.
Oh, it sounded bad to us
Mhm.
too,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
there.
Yeah, so were your characters a little bit freaked out by hearing that, hey, things are sort of happening right now. We have to deal with it right this second.
I mean, a little
Or
bit. The immediacy does kind of give it the edge of very present menace.
mhm.
So Yeah. Also, I feel like we really should have found out, because in character, I don't think any of us even know this, but because I, have to look at all of the tweets for things and the summaries for podcasts and everything, I, as a person, know that the place we are is called the Ruins of Madness. And I feel like the lead was buried there for us in character. And had we known that, we would have thought, oh, wait.
We're being told
never
that
mind.
Liz did in fact mention it.
Yeah, we basically just weren't paying attention because we were too concerned about everything else. Like, okay,
There's
yes,
a lot of stuff
ruins
happening,
of something or other. Yeah. Had
Ruins
we
of
paid more
Madness.
attention, then we would have been sufficiently traumatized and scared by this.
I expect you all to take a lot of psychic damage next episode.
We might.
Mm-hmm.
We just might.
I
think about it
I don't
too
want
hard.
to take any more damage right now.
Can you even take any more damage right now? I mean, do you even have the threshold for taking damage?
I think I'm at like 6 right now.
Oh, you got real.
So you can have a threshold of taking 6 whole damages.
Yeah, I think so, because I went down like twice, 3 times there.
Something like that.
Yeah, but that's normal though.
That's a Tuesday for Sinric.
Yeah, Sin's really just kind of like up and down, like.
He is the yo-yo barbarian.
Yo-yo barbarian.
We need to make a new custom subclass. Barbarian, path of the yo-yo. Put it on DM's Guild, we'll be millionaires.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. Okay.
Oh no, it's fine.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the fight was at least interesting though, with the whole mechanic of the puddings, and I mean, trying to figure out how the actual mechanic works and what we're supposed to do.
I did not enjoy that I was the first one to discover that by trying to be clever with my character's abilities for once in my fucking life.
Yeah, the puddings
unpleasant.
Were interesting. Weird little jello monsters.
It's funny, the selection that has been made for this week's episode are the 2 people who basically did the most harm in creating more puddings than any other character in that fight. Good job, buddy.
But
it's not actual harm. It's like
the most good. I mean,
it's harm and good at the same time.
It's kind of how you defeated them. You just sort of into smaller and smaller bits until they were too small to be hurtful.
Well,
yeah, true.
I'm trying to think of how else you would attack a pudding. I'm sure there's a more clever way to do it, but
fireball.
Spoon. Oh yeah, you need like a stomach of.
You want to talk about getting? See, now we're bringing back memories of Dobby, because you want to talk about acid melting someone's ass. You do that by feeding them a black pudding.
Too soon. Oh, wonderful.
It's so sad he didn't live to this point, because he would have probably gotten the idea. That's it. That's what I got to do. Feed him a black pudding.
I guess
capture one.
Put in a little pudding cup. A giant pudding cup. I don't know. I'm sure there's some shenanigans you could get into with a black pudding. So you guys actually tried at one point to retreat from these jello monsters, but it just did not work. So was the plan there just to try and regroup, or try to go find Liz and Charlie, or?
Personally, my plan was going to be, if we can make it out of here and we can find wherever the exit is and get away from the puddings as they move fairly slow. My plan was to do some serious architectural fuckery and blow the damn door down and keep them from coming after us.
That could have worked. But didn't you kind of have to get past them?
Well,
we got to find the exit first.
Yeah.
True.
And apparently getting rid of them was the way to find the exit. But that was what I was thinking, is just, if we can find the exit without having to fight all the puddings, then get everybody out, shatter, kablam, knock the door down, and then they're just stuck. But see, we were told that this side loops around to catch up with wherever Liz and Charlie went. There's another way to get back out later without having to come back through here. Then there's just puddings in that room forever.
You guys were not in the mood for dessert, but unfortunately you did have to finish it before you could leave the table. Thank you. That was your metaphor for the day. Cool. So right at the end of this fight, or near the end of this fight, Oriana did go down,
Yes.
but Quinn sort of like baseball slid in there to revivify her, like, not today. No, not again.
Yep.
Mhm.
There is a reason that since getting the ability to cast Revivify and since acquiring diamonds, Quinn has kept that damn spell prepared at a constant.
Good plan, considering the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, that is his logic, yes, because this is a group that would be desperately in need of the use of that spell from time to time.
Cool beans. So I don't know, does he feel like he did a good job as like a party healer in this fight? 'Cause I think during both fights he was actually pretty effective as the heals, or that was my impression watching them at least.
Yeah. I mean, with this one, that was about most of what he could do because I was, trying to conserve a bit, seeing as how we have no idea what else is coming. And a lot of the damaging stuff that I had prepared was either something that would be a very large area that might knock a few other people around, or has lightning involved, or is spiritual weapon, and I did not want to use that spell slot.
That's the pudding. Yeah. So Sindor's been around for a bit. Has he ever come across things like puddings before, or are these all like new, weird, strange monsters to him?
My experience would be more like, military style things, not necessarily
Not
like
monster hunting so much.
monsters and creatures. I imagine I've seen like animals, but not like, stuff like what we're coming up against. Mostly like people and, like normal animal creatures you'd probably see like, yeah.
Yeah. So for Cindric, who's like a pretty experienced fighter, what's it like to be coming up against so many like new things like all the time? Like, is it frustrating for him because like he knows how to fight, but he doesn't necessarily know how to fight these things? Is it interesting because it's a learning experience? Does he just think of it as, okay, here's just something else that's in front of me that I need to
I
kill?
mean, I got one strategy as a barbarian, and that is, yeah, I mean, you try to, outstrength whatever is coming after you. And
Mhm.
this is I'll say probably first time in combat that, that method does not necessarily work
Mhm.
like directly. I mean, it kind of worked because it worked to our advantage, but it's not like you had a direct effect. So, I mean, it's one of those, it'll probably have to be a learning experience. I'd say with that kind of military background, it wouldn't necessarily, well, I say military, that's a bad term. But
Mercenary?
that type of fighting background, I'd say
Martial
it's more of an
background.
opportunity. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for.
You're welcome.
It would be an opportunity, thank you, to kind of learn different tactics and different things to do. Like it might be an opportunity to keep a secondary weapon that,
Mhm.
does something different, things like that.
Like a hammer of some sort.
Yeah,
Smash.
have a pulverizer.
Yeah, there you go.
Do some
I
bludgeoning.
wonder if we can get him something that is a combination of pole arm and also hammer, because
It,
hear me out, because he's so fucking big, right?
Mhm.
We can basically get him a gigantic fuck you hammer, the likes of which you only see in a JRPG. I mean, something
I
that's
just want a
usually
tree trunk.
wielded, but yeah, see, it's
What, like
essentially
a
like a
Harley
tree
Quinn
trunk,
mallet?
kind of.
No, I mean
Yes,
like a tree
but
trunk,
bigger.
like a totem trunk.
Yeah, he
Awesome.
just wields some sort of totem pole as a mallet, but it also counts as a pole arm because of its length. I
Because it's
think
just
it,
a
okay.
No,
pole.
So we go to the
that would
next.
be
All right,
more on the outlandish side, but
yes,
I
but
hilarious.
it's perfect
mean,
for
I'm
Senric. So
for
we go
it
to the next
personally.
town, find a blacksmith, and we're like, okay,
We need
now I want you to take a hammer and a
and
pole
put it on
arm
a
and have
tree.
them make a baby.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure that's a weapon.
like
I'm pretty sure there's a weapon that's similar to that.
I just don't know what it
in
is.
5e, there's not really. They have like the big hammers, but nothing like what you're talking about.
Then
Um,
we invent it, sir.
they have like in real life poleaxes and things like
Mhm.
that are, you know, kind of like the basis of a halberd.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like game mechanics, even halberds do slashing damage, despite like them having the axe tip with the actual, you know, puncturing spears like on top. So I mean, it could essentially, you know, depending on how you use a weapon, but D&D rules don't really accommodate for that.
Mhm.
Well, D&D rules are made to be changed and broken fitting the situation as long as the DM's cool with it. That's what I always say.
That's right. He does like to
So
homebrew stuff, so
yeah,
you should bother her to let you make custom weapons, but be fun.
there you go.
Anyway,
It's a magic weapon that lets you choose the form as you activate it.
I mean, you have like spells that allow you to choose what damage type you do. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to have something like that for the martial class too.
What are these spells you speak of?
Like chromatic orb, like you can choose what damage type it does. And I think there are other
I have
spells
like,
that do that too. Can't think of them off the top of my head.
oh, it's more like, you know, me being a martial class and not having spells.
Yeah, but I was saying that you could have like a weapon that is versatile in the kind of damage it does, like one that can do bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, or something like that.
It makes sense, you know, thematically, but like that's what I was saying. As far as like rules go in the game, they don't really have something to accommodate for that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They should, in my humble opinion, as not the DM, but merely a fan of the show. Anyway,
But
Brigham. Oops, sorry, who's talking?
oh, I was gonna say I can do bludgeoning damage. I just have to hit something with slashing first.
That's true.
There you go. Anyway, speaking of martial stuff, we're going to move on to our topic for the day, which is martial classes versus spellcasting classes. We're going to be talking about like, the differences between the two, like overarching class types, which I think most classes either fit into caster, martial, or like martial caster, which is like paladins and stuff. So first off, I have to ask, do you guys have a preference as far as what kind of characters you like to play? Like, do you prefer like shooty stabby, or do you like magic-y spelly? More opinions.
I like both, honestly. I don't really have a preference one way or the other because it kind of just depends on what you're in the mood for doing. Like if you feel like being able to toy with the building blocks of creation that lets you explode stuff at range, then spellcasters are fun. But if you also like just to be able to get right up in something's face and punch it like it owes you money, then that's another thing that's awesome. So I don't have a favorite one way or the other. It just depends on the mood, I guess.
I think, yeah, as far as spell casting goes, there's a lot more to be able to manage. So, I
Mm.
mean, that's something to
Yeah,
kind
that
of
is
take into
true.
consideration. I kind of like the more martial classes because they're almost simpler to think about,
Mm-hmm.
but some martial classes have, you know, less to offer in certain aspects than others.
Expand on that.
So like for example, as a barbarian, you don't really get a whole lot of like tool proficiency, whereas like a rogue, you get expertises and things
Mhm.
like that. Even fighters get, you know, different types of like you know, skills that you can use within certain situations. So I mean, it's one of those where you have trade-offs. So it's all about kind of what you want to do.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just grabbing my plushie for a second. I have a little Oogie Boogie who I'm
That
holding to
is
keep me
not little.
awake. I have a decently sized Oogie Boogie
There you
doll,
go.
which I'm holding to keep me awake because I'm falling asleep. Yeah, so that. So which do you guys play more often, do you think? Like out of all your characters?
I've had a pretty, I've had a pretty good mix overall because one of the first characters I played a fighter because that's training wheels for everybody. Um, you know, played a druid, playing a cleric right now, and I'm playing a warlock, but he's a hexblade and paladin. So, I mean, a lot of what he does is if he doesn't feel like Eldritch blasting from range, then he's up in there burning those spell slots on high level smites. So that's actually one of the most fun things about, that's actually one of the most fun things about messing with
hybrid
him.
class.
Yeah, hybridizing like that where I can change it up from, what I feel like doing literally right now. Do I feel like shooting this thing at range and sniping while I fly around, or do I feel like getting down and dirty and trying to stab it to death? So
You've got the range.
pretty much.
Yeah. I played more spellcasters than I have, martial classes.
Interesting.
I kind of like the druid, not necessarily because of damage output, but just because of control aspects. And you can do a lot of shenanigans as a druid that really just kind of like mess with everyone's plans.
Nice.
Describe a shenanigan.
Yeah, describe a shenanigan for us.
So not something that I've done, but one of my favorite, this was actually on a podcast that I listened to, is a druid was, on a ship with a naval battle, and they literally cast control water to create a trench underneath the boat, and then negated the entire encounter because here comes a giant battleship literally just falling to the ground and crashing.
Wow.
So it's like, stuff like that just really throws wrenches in plans, and I think that's kind of humorous on a player end.
That is really the true potential of Magic users, just to absolutely fuck with stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So fun. So with these two sort of class categories, general wisdom is that like martial classes have a bit of a leg up at lower levels since they benefit from higher armor and hit points. That like evens out a bit as spellcasters get closer and closer to their true forms as human nuclear bombs. Do you think this is true?
I think that's kind of like a generalization where everything has like a curve that it acquires power. I think it all depends. Spellcasters kind of have like weird curves. Well, I shouldn't say weird, but more like a traditional curve. And then you have like moon druids, which are kind of like and I would say spellcasters grow more steadily in general, power, as far as power. Whereas, unless you're a fighter, martial classes kind of get a big dump early on and then just kind of balance everything out later on.
Fighters do get super good later on.
Yeah, that's true.
Their stupid attacks and all the ASI.
I get like 10 billion attacks per turn.
Yeah.
It's like, I action surge and I get 50 more attacks.
It's like, oh, look, it's the fighter's turn. I'm going to go get a drink and make a sandwich. Come back. Right. Oh, look, it's still the fighter's turn.
I'm going to go make dinner. You just tell me when you're done.
More like it's the fighter's turn. I'm going to go make some chili from scratch. I'll see you in about 16 hours when the meat is finished.
You're going to go put something in the slow cooker.
Yeah, exactly. I got to start this crockpot dinner for tomorrow. By the time it's done, my turn will come up.
From a visual perspective, I just imagine fighters when they attack to be like, Dragon Ball Z fighting where you see like blurs for the arm because they have 4 attacks in 6 seconds. Then you action surge. So that's technically 8 for, 6 seconds. Yeah, they're fast. They're fast.
It really just becomes like a kung fu movie or an anime, as you say.
Yeah, kind of.
I would argue at that point, fighters would be faster than monks as far as attacking.
Yeah, because of the number of attacks they can put out in a single round.
Yeah.
Called fighters for a reason.
They fight.
They do fight.
It's in the name.
Yeah. So, Chad, do you think that holds true, sort of like what Tick was saying?
I'm not sure, because I think that with a lot of the casters, there is some steady growth. I do agree with some druids, there's like a spike here and there. A lot of druids they start off low and then level 10 hits. And if you're a moon druid, look the fuck out. I'm a rock monster now. And with a lot of with wizards, it's basically a steady upkeep until you get to, I am basically a god of the arcane. All shall bow before me or weep. But
just casually change the world around before breakfast,
kind of. But
Yeah.
with a lot of the martial classes, it does have that same sort of steady incline. It's just there are some peaks here and there, and then whenever you get to say like the highest level of stuff with something like fighter or paladin, and you get the ability of now you can attack as many times as you want almost, or now you can basically turn into an avatar of divine vengeance for a minute. Then there's the steady rise, and oh fuck, like all of a sudden the giant incline on the roller coaster and you're about to take a fucking ride.
Yeah, some classes have very good like capstone abilities. Not all
Yes.
classes, but
Yeah, some do. Some are,
some
just
are
okay.
lame. Some are.
Yeah.
I think the warlock capstone class is really bad. It's just like it's nothing.
Yeah, you can get spell slots back once a day without having a short.
Thanks.
I mean, it's great for an emergency, if you want to just pull that ripcord, but at that point,
it's also not like a terrible thing.
Yeah,
it's useful, but
it can be useful.
Most of the time, you can get a short rest.
Yeah, and even if you can't,
I feel like I feel like multi-classing into sorcerer for the sorcery points and the conversion would probably be more effective than that capstone.
Yeah, literally what I'm doing with my other character. Anyway, so what do you guys think about like half caster classes? Are they the best of both worlds, worst of both worlds?
It depends on what chocolate you're mixing with what peanut butter. Like because I mentioned this a few minutes ago, I've got the Warlock Paladin right now, and that's mixing a casting class with a half casting martial class.
I don't mean like multi-classing. I mean like the half caster vanilla classes like paladin, cleric,
like a ranger or a paladin.
Yeah,
okay.
ranger.
I mean, yeah,
multi-classing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's fine.
I think a lot of it.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it depends on the campaign that you're playing, because both of those, hybrid classes are very thematic as to what they can do. And like playing a ranger has, for example, has a lot of abilities that rely on like, not necessarily sworn enemies, but like favored enemies and favored terrain. And, if your favored terrain is a jungle and, you're doing a campaign in the hills, so I think they kind of, yeah. Whereas like in that case, I feel like a paladin would probably, be better fit for that, because, it's kind of the way I see it. That's kind of what they're designed, demonic smiting machine. So I guess it's more like depends on the theme of the campaign that you're playing.
Yeah. I think it kind of it more depends on what you're trying to do with a character, because like with what I think is kind of the strangest of the like half casters, the Eldritch Knight. You're a fighter that's also supposed to be half a wizard. And it's an interesting balance to try to pull off, because the kind of spells that you get don't really equal out to, as far as damage output necessarily, the kind of shit that you can do in a single turn just by stabbing it with a really good magic weapon. But it just sort of becomes, what are you trying to accomplish with the character? Like how is it you're wanting to play them? What are you trying to do with them? Because if you work it right, you could take an Eldritch Knight and basically make Alucard from Castlevania. And it's an interesting way to try and pull it off. And if that's what you're trying to do, cool. Otherwise, it's for the half casters. It's like, what is it you're trying to make with this character? How are you trying to have your fun?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I think, I think Chick brought up an interesting point though, because I don't think we talk that often about like how campaign specific character design can be, because you can absolutely create the coolest, most functional character and it just won't work because you're in the wrong campaign. Like if you have a Gloomstalker, that's like perfect for the Underdark. If you're in a very highly lit campaign, you might not get the kind of benefits that you would in other ways. So you really have to consider your campaign when you're creating a character.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's with any aspect of character creation, though. And you're absolutely right,
Yeah.
because there are characters that you can design to be the perfect killing machine in a campaign.
Different setting.
Yeah, or you can design a character who is a rogue that is literally the best thief possible in a campaign where you never get to steal shit, and
Wouldn't that be terrible?
yeah, it's like you don't get set up for the opportunity to pull a heist of some sort, which like that's your fucking bread and butter. If you make a thief rogue, like this is the thing that you're designed to do, but then you don't do that because the opportunity doesn't present itself because you're not playing the kind of campaign where you do get that kind of thing set up. So then it's
just imagining this poor rogue like on a horse, like about to do a like this grand like battle of five armies type thing, and they're just suffering inside because they haven't pickpocketed one person for months. They've just been on the campaign.
Yep.
Poor guy. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, so with 5e, I think you have the like some option to be a little bit arcane, like with almost every single class. Like you have vows, paths, archetypes, subclasses that you can choose to get spells. So with all these options, is there still a reason to play just a vanilla martial class?
Yes. Because
flavor, I mean, if that's what you want to play.
Yeah. But because if you go by the logic of party composition and like just, with video games and such, every party needs a tank. You don't want to admit that you do, but you fucking do. You need that one person who's going to be soaking up that damage like a fucking sponge and then dealing it right back out tenfold. And that lets your casters stand back and think, do I want to cast this spell at this person or do I want to do this? Because they're not getting their faces eaten off by whatever it is that the barbars out there and just stand around their birthday suit with two battle axes and say, come get it, motherfucker.
By devil's advocate, though, druids can be amazing tanks.
They can be.
All those 10 hit points.
Yeah. They're like, HP absorb tanks. But druids also have, such a wonderful ability to do battlefield control. And I mean, as far as like healing in game, I still stand by the best healing you can do is the damage you mitigate from being hit to begin with. So, if you have between you and the enemy and there's a patch of spiked growth, for example, that's going to slow things down. It's going to buy you a turn or two from things getting to you, or even entangle. I mean, entangle, fog cloud, they have such, kind of cool low level spells that don't necessarily cost a lot of resources that can be a huge detriment on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, battlefield control is something I think that it's not as flashy as like DPS or tanking or whatever, but it can be really clutch because one turn can make all the difference in a lot of battles.
That's true.
Yeah. Tactics, baby.
It can also be super annoying sometimes too.
Yeah, if you're on the other side
when being used against you, it's very terrible. It's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm flashing back to that one. Was that Serenity's game? Like we kept getting hit by darkness or something. I'm thinking about something completely different. Never mind. You'll know what I'm talking about. But there was this one battle that I was in a different campaign where we kept getting hit by darkness, and it was the worst. Was it? It was. Okay, this was a campaign that I did with Serenity that she did not run. But one of our characters had like Hunger of Hadar, and it was just fucking up our battlefield so much.
Oh, wow.
It's terrible. Amazing.
Wow. It actually reminds me of something that because we're talking about the benefits of casters. I have one as far as the ability to control. I was in a game where the DM was insisting on trying to put darkness out on the field right over all of our characters, and I was playing a wizard. I had like a good wizard, both counterspell and dispel magic. Yeah. So every time you try and do it, and this was with multiple characters that all had the racial ability to cast darkness. I was like, oh, they're going to cast a spell, and this dark sphere comes in a counter spell. And like, oh, okay, well, then another one does it. Wait till my turn. Okay, I'm going to dispel the darkness now. Carry on. And then he just kept on going. I was like, I can fucking do this all day, sir. You want to keep it up, go ahead, but it's really kind of a waste of your time and mine. No.
It does eat your spell slots up though to have to keep counterspelling.
It did.
Yeah.
But it also ate up all of their
Sometimes
turns
that's a
because
viable
they were just
strategy,
being like,
though.
darkness.
And you're like, no, thank you. I would like to see.
No, lights on, bitch.
Like, stay on.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think martial characters are easier to play in general than spellcasters because you don't really have to keep track of your spells? Although
Yeah.
some martial characters can get pretty
I,
complicated, like especially rogues as you
I
get all
think
of your
they're
abilities.
I think they're easier to manage, with the
Mhm.
exception of rogues and sneak attack damage, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what accounts for sneak attack, what doesn't count for sneak attack.
Yeah.
Whatever you can
But
get away with
outside
counts
of
for
that, I
sneak
think
attack.
Yeah.
Whatever you can argue your DM into counting counts as
I mean,
sneak attack.
that's what makes Swashbuckler one of the best classes of rogue, because it's like I basically get sneak attack no matter what I'm doing now. Come at me.
as long as you have someone else within 5 feet of the target that's
That's
not
really good.
an ally. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that one's worded weird.
It is,
It's
yeah.
like, I mean, an enemy of the enemy. It doesn't have to be your ally. It just has to be someone against whoever you're targeting.
Pretty much. But yeah, I think it's less to think about and less to manage a lot, because there's always the one jackass who, whenever the DM says, okay, you've had your long rest, go and prep your spells, like, oh, I go ahead and prep mine, I've got an axe. I mean, that is kind of how some characters work, is they do just have a fucking
I
axe.
feel targeted.
You have a halberd. I said axe, not halberd.
Yeah. And of course, some spellcasters don't have to prep spells.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here with the whole fucking cleric spell. It's like, all right,
you're
God
just like,
damn it. I don't want that today. I don't want that today. I don't want that's the one.
What kind of day is it? What am I feeling today?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's also good to have that flexibility, though, in cases, because in the event that we prepare for a battle, like, for example, just in this last session, we had the night to prepare before we went into this location. So that afforded you the opportunity to look at what you can do and say, basically cater your kit to that, situation as much as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas like bard, they're just kind of stuck.
Yeah, which is nice. And, same thing for like other casters like Warlock or, where it's just, or Sorcerer, like, what you know, and that's literally it. But with the martial class, it's like, all right, well, I can hit stuff from up close, or I can hit stuff from far away today.
What am I feeling?
Yeah, pretty much. Because it depends on basically how much do you want to have to think before the battle versus how much do you want to have to think during the battle. Because if you prepare as a spellcaster when you know you're going into a fight, you basically kit yourself out with, these are the spells that I think I'm going to need to do the following things in combat today. And then you just sort of see where you can execute that plan whenever you come into contact with the enemy. Meanwhile, if you're playing a martial character, it's, these are my skills. And then you have to think on the fly, right in the middle of the fight. Okay, this has happened. Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where am I most effective? That one. And you choose your moment, you pick your target, and you go for it. And like I said, do you want to think about it a lot before, or do you want to think about it a lot in the moment? Because one gets more of the other.
That kind of brings up an interesting thing, though, because like oftentimes for battles, you don't really know what you're getting into. So as a spellcaster, like you don't always have the kind of intel to be able to like custom choose your spells and be like, okay, I know this creature has like resistance to fire damage, so I'm going to not concentrate so much on fire spells. Sometimes you just know, and you have to just like guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's part of it, especially if you have no knowledge of whatever you're going against. I mean, there's a learning curve.
But with a non-spell based class, you have more room to improvise, it seems like, almost. Although it does, of course, depend what class in particular you're playing. Anyway, one more question, then we have to wrap up. So do you guys think that like spellcasters and non-casters are balanced? Meaning that like if, I don't know, a wizard and a fighter of the same level up against each other, they'd have like a 50-50 chance of winning?
Depends on
Or
the stats, honestly. Because I mean,
let's
on
say they both
paper,
have good stats.
yeah, on
assuming level playing field otherwise.
yeah, okay. Well, I mean, on paper, kind of,
Mhm.
because it's the best analogy I can use for this is Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus. Behind the arms, Dr. Octopus is just a pudgy middle-aged scientist who can't take a fucking punch. But you have to get past the format in order to
Think
punch
both
him
in
in the
those
face with
comics,
spider
actually.
strength
Yeah.
That's true.
and knock him down.
I mean,
They draw him pretty buff in those comics.
They didn't used to though. Like back in the old comics, he's just a portly old man.
Hey.
yeah, with
And
a terrible haircut too.
yeah, the
Yeah,
bowl
terrible
cut. Yeah,
haircut.
good God.
But I, I I almost think that making that comparison as far as like class to class is almost like apples and oranges,
Mhm.
because I mean D&D I don't believe is designed to have like a class balance like an MMO game.
And it's
It's
not
kind of
designed for PvP so much either, but
yeah, it's kind of designed to give classes a role and a moment to shine within that role,
Mhm.
depending on what class you take and the actions you take with that class.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not something where it's really designed for who would win in a fight. It's designed for how do we win in a fight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
it's all about teamwork.
it makes the dream work and kills the
Hey.
dragons.
That and
Hey.
extra feats.
Yep.
Cool beans. Okay, so that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you both so much for being on the show. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Make sure to tune in next week for the next episode of whatever this is, and tune on Friday for the next episode of Roll for Damage. I'm sure it'll be very exciting. They always are. Yeah, whatever this is. Sandy's making fun of me in the background. This is like the constant background noise because she's always like commenting. It's like the
I
silent
feel like
peanut
we should just.
gallery.
I feel like we should just
We
add
just
in
need to
her
mic her
Commenting on
up.
audio.
comments.
We need to mic her up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should just add her audio. That's
Very
just
destructive.
it. We kind of your mic because then all the snark you throw at us are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
See, there you go. We have our own Danny Cam.
Something to
DM
look
cam.
forward to. Anyway, I have to go. I have phone calls to make tonight.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you to Lady Meows and Sunbird who designed our logo and our music. Stick around for links and resources for all of this stuff. There continues to be a lot of stuff. We have stuff that you can do to help with that stuff. Good night.
Stuff.
Bye.
And more stuff.